The colossal alien vessel drifted in the void like a jagged monument of steel and malice. Admiral Keithvar stood tall upon the bridge of his flagship, the World Breaker, his eyes fixed on the displays revealing another world collapsing beneath their shadow. The third planet of the Kepler 442 system writhed in firestorms visible even from orbit. What once thrived as a bustling mining colony of 12 million souls was now reduced to ash and choking smoke. "Status report," Keithvar commanded, his resonant voice filled with the certainty of a man untouched by failure. "All resistance has been eliminated, Admiral," his tactical officer answered. "The planetary defense grid endured for precisely 3 hours and 47 minutes. Their weapons never breached our shields." Keithvar inclined his head with grim approval. The Royal Fleet had subdued 17 star systems in a mere 6 months. Each conquest fell quicker than the last. Fear of their unstoppable might spread like wildfire. Some colonies surrendered outright upon sighting the fleet's titanic warships blotting out their skies, while others dared to resist, only to be pounded into molten ruins within days. Kyo, Zapirian Empire had forged the Royal Fleet for one singular purpose: to expand dominion by crushing every civilization that dared oppose them. Every ship was armed with doomsday weaponry capable of rending planetary crusts or boiling oceans into vapor. The World Breaker alone bore plasma cannons fierce enough to liquefy continents and quantum torpedoes able to destabilize planetary cores. "Set course for the Sol system," Keithvar ordered coldly. "Our intelligence indicates a species called humans has established notable settlements there. Multiple colonies, one major population center upon their third planet." The navigation officer ran calculations against the star maps. "The Sol system lies 47 light-years from our position, Admiral. We can arrive within 18 days. "Excellent," Keithvar declared. "Relay instructions to the other vessels. The fleet will assemble at the system's edge and survey their defenses before striking. Perhaps these humans will offer greater amusement than our last conquests." For 3 decades, Keithvar had served the Royal Fleet, and in all that time, no species had resisted their onslaught for longer than a few fleeting days. The humans would prove no different, he thought with conviction. Reports confirmed they had only just begun exploring beyond their star, their weapons little more than primitive toys when measured against Zapirian plasma arrays and particle lances, and so the engines of war rumbled, hurling the fleet toward its next victim. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, Admiral Jake Morrison sat alone in his command chair deep. Beneath the Pentagon, Admiral Jake Morrison studied the reports that twisted his stomach with dread. The intelligence was unmistakable and chilling. An alien armada had surged into known space 6 months earlier, obliterating every human settlement and allied world they encountered. "Show me Kepler 442 again," Morrison ordered his aide. The holographic feed shimmered to life, revealing images that would scar his dreams. Towering alien vessels, each dwarfing humanity's mightiest warships, unleashed weapons that turned cities into molten glass. Their shields absorbed every counterattack with ease. 12 million lives had vanished in under 4 hours. Lieutenant Amy Carter entered with a tablet brimming with data. The finest xenostrategist in the Earth Defense Force, she had dedicated years to dissecting alien battle doctrine from humanity's scant encounters. "What do we know about them?" Morrison asked. Amy set her tablet down, activating the central display. "They identify as the Zahirian Royal Fleet. Each ship is effectively a mobile siege engine tailored for planetary annihilation. Plasma cannons generate heat surpassing 50,000 degrees. Their quantum torpedoes can rupture planetary cores, causing total collapse." Morrison's jaw tightened. "And their defenses? Energy shielding that renders directed weapons useless. Kinetics inflict minimal damage, but their armor is layered beyond belief. In 17 engagements, they've suffered no losses." "How long?" Amy recalculated quickly. "On their present trajectory, they'll breach the outer Sol perimeter in 16 days. Morrison rose, pacing toward the immense map of Earth's defenses. Orbital platforms formed a steel lattice around the homeworld. Monitoring arrays reached into deep space past Pluto's orbit. The Luna base housed humanity's most formidable fortress. Yet, faced with alien firepower, he doubted if it was enough. Beneath NORAD, Dr. Ben Rodriguez labored 18-hour days. As chief of Earth's Defensive Research Division, he commanded humanity's most advanced technology. Though compared to the Zephyrians, it felt like children's toys. Simulation 412, Ben muttered, adjusting shield parameters. The hologram of Earth shimmered under a defensive grid. Alien plasma fire hammered it, breaking through within seconds. Failure. Shield collapse in 4.7. He rubbed his eyes, clutching his ever-present coffee. Every model ended the same way. Their weapons were too overwhelming. Unless... His idea was insane, but possible. Instead of building stronger defenses, why not reflect the enemy's own fire back upon them? The theory was sound. The engineering, daunting. High above Earth, Captain Lisa Bennett commanded Guardian 1, the most advanced orbital defense platform ever constructed. Through panoramic windows, she gazed upon her homeworld, blue, green, fragile. Sworn to its defense and to its 3 billion souls, she felt the weight of her oath. Born on Mars but drawn to Earth at 18 to serve, she'd spent 15 years aboard Deep Patrol and lunar stations. Guardian 1 was her first command, and perhaps her last. Captain, urgent message from Earth Defense Command, her comms officer said. Route it to my office. Moments later, Morrison's weary face appeared on her secure screen. Lisa, Guardian 1 is now the primary coordination hub for Earth's orbital defenses. You'll work directly with Dr. Rodriguez to integrate experimental technologies. What kind of technologies, Admiral? Morrison's gaze was grave. Weapons we've never tested in battle. Ben believes he can harness the aliens' firepower, but it will demand absolute precision and coordination. Lisa's heart raced. How long? 15 days. 16 if fortune favors us. The planet's survival rests on you and your crew. The transmission ended. Lisa stood by her viewport, gazing at the Earth below. Somewhere on that vibrant sphere, her parents lived quietly in a small Ohio town, while her brother taught schoolchildren in California. Billions of lives moved forward, in ordinary rhythm, blind to the fact that death itself was racing toward them across interstellar night. The Zephyrian royal fleet had reigned undefeated for 3 decades of conquest. Their warships shattered planets, their weapons melted continents. Yet never once had they clashed with humanity. And they had no conception of what 3 billion souls would do when their world stood on the edge of annihilation. The storm was rising, and Earth would be ready. At the edge of the Sol system, Zephyrian scouts emerged from faster-than-light travel, dark silhouettes of doom. 3 vessels, each the size of a city district, lit their sensors and began dissecting the inner planets. Commander Veltar stood at the helm of his lead ship, watching tactical readouts flicker across his display. Report. 9. Planets, Commander, the sensor chief replied. The third shows vast population centers and significant energy output. They have mastered spaceflight, with colonies on several moons and nearby bodies. Veltar's lips curved into satisfaction. Exactly what the royal fleet desired. A sprawling civilization meant resources ripe for harvest and populations suited for either servitude or extermination. Humanity's reach across their system would make conquest all the more rewarding. Defenses? Multiple orbital arrays around the third planet. Long-range monitoring stations throughout. Technology appears crude, though some military capability is present. Then it is standard procedure, Veltar decreed. Transmit the ultimatum. Grant them 72 hours to surrender. The message broadcast from the Zephyrian scouts was identical to those sent across 17 fallen worlds. Translated into dozens of dialects, including English, humanity's dominant tongue, it declared, "People of the Sol system, you are now subjects of the Zephyrian royal fleet. You have 72 hours to surrender all armed forces and submit to imperial authority. Resistance will ensure the destruction of your worlds and the eradication of your species. This is your only warning." Within minutes, Earth's deep space arrays captured the signal. Near Pluto, Captain Alex Stone commanded the patrol craft. Defender when the transmission reached him. Anticipated for weeks, the words still chilled his blood. "Communications. Forward that to Earth Defense Command," he ordered. "Navigation. Set intercept for those scouts, but keep maximum sensor distance." His tactical officer hesitated. "Captain, shouldn't we hold position? Their ships outclass us completely." Alex's grim smile cut the tension. "They expect us to scatter or hide. Let's see their reaction when we don't play along." The Defender was a modest patrol vessel. 30 crew, light armament, minimal shields, hopelessly outmatched. But Alex Stone had been entrusted with this post for one reason. He understood battles weren't always measured in firepower. Sometimes they were contests of perception, gambits waged in the mind. Meanwhile, on Earth, President Daniel Hayes gathered with his top advisors inside the Situation Room. The alien ultimatum had been received less than an hour before, and every person present. General Patricia Wolfe, Chief of the Joint Chiefs, spoke first. "Mr. President, conventional doctrine would advise immediate civilian evacuation and shifting to guerrilla tactics from hidden redoubts." Hayes studied the faces of those sworn to defend Earth. "Is that your recommendation, General?" "No, sir," she answered firmly. "I say we meet them head-on. If we must fall, then let it be in a way they'll never forget." Dr. Ben Rodriguez entered, burdened with a case of technical schematics. He looked like sleep hadn't touched him in days. "Mr. President, there is a chance," he said. "Slim, but real." "Explain," Morrison prompted. Ben activated a compact holoprojector, casting a lattice of interwoven energy patterns. The aliens' weapons unleash staggering energy. Their vessels absorb and reroute power-based strikes. But what if we reversed that advantage? "How?" Hayes pressed. "Quantum entanglement fields. The theory exists, though untested. If we establish a network of linked defensive grids around Earth, we could reflect their fire back upon them." Hayes leaned closer. "Time frame? The components already exist. Assembly and calibration are required, 60 hours of non-stop work. That leaves 12 hours after their deadline," Morrison calculated grimly. "Then let's hope they're patient," Hayes muttered. On Luna Base, Dr. Sophie Clark labored furiously over the quantum generators that might deliver salvation. The foremost physicist in quantum mechanics, even she doubted theory could survive practice. "Computer diagnostic on Array 7, she commanded, hands steady on fragile instruments. "Diagnostic complete, all systems within standard parameters." She exhaled, wiping sweat, checking the clock. 48 hours until the alien ultimatum expired. 36 hours without rest, 12 more generators left. Dr. Marcus Green, her assistant, entered with coffee and food. "Sophie, eat something." "No. Time," she muttered. "If these fail, Earth dies in 3 days. If you collapse, they'll fail for certain," he countered. She knew he was right, but couldn't stop. The math was merciless. One mistake, and the grid would collapse. Hundreds of calculations done, none guaranteeing survival. Meanwhile, Captain Alex Stone held his vigil near the alien scouts, sensors locked on them as theirs swept him. For 18 hours, both sides stared across the void. The Zephyrian seemed unsettled by his refusal to withdraw. "Captain, incoming signal from their lead vessel," his comms officer reported. On screen. The visage that appeared was eerily familiar, yet undeniably alien. Commander Veltar's skin was pale blue, his eyes wide and dark, his features distorted echoes of humanity. His voice, filtered through translation, carried disdain. "Human vessel, why do you not retreat? Your craft is insignificant." Alex leaned back with a faint smile. "Perhaps we're not here to threaten. Perhaps we're here to study." "Study? Us?" Veltar's brow furrowed. "You've conquered 17 worlds, but you've never fought humans. We're curious about how you wage war. We want to see what you're capable of." Confusion flickered across Veltar's expression. "You wish to witness your own destruction?" "We wish to learn," Alex replied. "Humans always wish to learn, especially new ways to fight." The signal cut abruptly. On his displays, Alex could see increased movement rippled across the alien vessels. Their commanders were clearly unsettled, whispering among themselves about his unexpected reply. "Captain, what exactly are you trying to achieve?" his tactical officer asked. "I'm planting doubt," Alex answered steadily. "They expect fear. They expect us to beg, to surrender, or to flee. But instead, we're behaving like predators circling prey. That will make them hesitate." Admiral Morrison received constant reports every hour from teams working without pause to strengthen Earth's defenses. Dr. Rodriguez's experimental quantum field generators were being mounted on each orbital station. On Luna Base, Dr. Clark's crew had completed 8 of the 12 essential units. Meanwhile, Captain Stone carried on his campaign of psychological pressure against the alien scouts. But Morrison knew every safeguard could still fail. The Zephyrian Royal Fleet possessed weapons capable of erasing entire worlds. Earth had ingenuity and valor, but would those be enough against overwhelming force? "Admiral, incoming signal." "From Captain Stone," the comms officer announced. Morrison opened the channel and Alex's face appeared. "Sir, our mind games seem to be working. Their commander is asking questions he's never considered. Our behavior is confusing him. Well done, Alex. Hold position, but withdraw if they react aggressively." "Understood, Admiral. One more thing. These aliens don't know how to handle opponents who aren't afraid. Every civilization they've faced panicked and blundered. That might be our edge." When the call ended, Morrison studied the tactical display of Earth's defenses. 47 small patrol ships stood against a fleet capable of crushing planets. Untested technology against flawless alien weaponry. Human determination facing absolute confidence. The odds were impossible. Yet the clock ticked on at precisely 14:30. Earth Standard Time. The 72-hour ultimatum expired. Admiral Keithar expected to see the usual signs: fear, surrender, chaos. Instead, his sensors revealed something unseen in 3 decades of conquest. The humans were powering weapons and arranging ships into combat formations. "Admiral, the human fleet is not retreating," his tactical officer reported, voice edged with disbelief. "They appear to be preparing for battle." Cathar glared at the tactical screen, irritation rising. 47 human ships were scattering across the system in bizarre patterns. Some moved toward the asteroid field, others stationed near the gas giants, and a few boldly closed on his scouts. "These humans are either suicidally foolish or dangerously courageous," Kethvar muttered. "Signal the fleet. Advance. We will obliterate them and proceed with bombardment." Moments later, the Royal Fleet tore from faster-than-light travel, emerging in the terrifying formation that had coerced 17 civilizations into instant submission. 50 colossal warships glided into a flawless geometric array, their blackened hulls bristling with enough weapons to liquefy continents. Each kilometer-long behemoth bristled with plasma cannons glowing ominously in the void. Captain Alex Stone watched the enemy armada appear on his sensors, and despite every ounce of training, his mouth went dry. They were larger than the report suggested. The lead vessel, clearly their flagship, dwarfed even Earth's largest station, twice its size at least. "All ships, this is Stone," Alex broadcast across tactical comms. "Initiate Plan Alpha. Remember, Our goal isn't to destroy them. Our goal is to make them think. The Defender surged forward at full acceleration toward the alien scouts, trailed by 6 smaller patrol ships. To outside eyes, it looked like a hopeless suicide charge. But Alex had studied the Zephyrians. Their campaigns all followed one rigid pattern. Commander Veltar sneered as the humans advanced. "Charge primary weapons. We will swat these insects and move on." But as his gunner tried to lock on, confusion struck. The human vessels suddenly broke apart in 7 unpredictable directions. Their courses were erratic, yet their velocity made them impossible to target. "What are they doing?" Veltar demanded. "Unknown, Commander. Their maneuvers do not match any documented doctrine." The human ships wove between asteroids, slingshotting around moons, vanishing behind space debris, and reappearing before the sensors could adjust. Alex Stone had immersed himself in Earth's forgotten combat history, studying the dogfights of ancient fighter aces who once ruled the skies. "Defender to all units," Alex ordered firmly. "Execute hit and run. Strike hard, vanish fast, never give them a clean shot." The patrol ship Hunter, under Captain Ryan Kelly's command, moved first. The Hunter burst from behind a massive asteroid, unleashing a volley of kinetic rounds against one of the alien scouts. The impacts splashed harmlessly across the alien shields. That didn't matter. The goal was provocation. The enemy vessel wheeled to chase, but the human craft was already gone, vanishing behind another asteroid at high speed. When the alien gave pursuit, 2 more human ships swept in from opposite sides, striking its flanks. Commander Veltar now faced opponents, who refused to obey any predictable pattern. The humans attacked from every direction, never lingered long enough to be tracked, and twisted the environment into both weapon and cover. "Commander, 20 minutes of battle. No human ships destroyed," his tactical officer reported grimly. "Impossible. Our weapons have never failed. They deny us target locks. Their erratic maneuvers and terrain masking disrupt our systems." On Luna's dark side, Lieutenant Colonel Ryan Murphy launched his fighter squadrons from hidden bases just as the enemy fleet pressed inward. 60 small craft, each flown by a pilot trained precisely for this day, hurled themselves toward ships thousands of times their size. The Zephyrian fleet's plasma batteries and quantum torpedoes were engineered to annihilate cities and capital ships. Against nimble fighter wings, they were clumsy and slow. Striking such elusive prey was far harder than their scientists had ever envisioned. "Gold leader to all squadrons," Ryan transmitted. "Stick to training. Our objective isn't destruction, it's blindness." The fighters swarmed like furious hornets, stinging at sensor nodes, communications dishes, and targeting arrays. Their weapons lacked the strength to pierce alien hulls, but they shredded the delicate systems required for the fleet to operate. Admiral Kavar stared at his tactical readouts as warning icons multiplied across the display. Ship after ship reported. Failing sensors, crippled comms, and guidance systems, scrambled by clouds of metallic chaff, the humans dispersed with precision. "Status!" he barked. "No kills, Admiral, but operational efficiency is collapsing. The humans coordinate direct. Strikes on our eyes and ears. Without them, our weapons cannot acquire targets." Beneath NORAD, Dr. Ben Rodriguez activated the quantum generator network, finished with barely minutes to spare. Now Earth's survival depended on technology that had never once been tested in a real war. "All stations, this is Rodriguez," he transmitted to the orbitals. "Quantum field network coming online. Timing must be flawless, or everything fails." From Guardian 1, Captain Lisa Bennett monitored as her sensors flared with spikes of rising energy. Across Earth's orbit, the generators began stitching invisible latticeworks of power, fields spanning multiple dimensions, theorized to bend or redirect hostile fire. "Captain, alien fleet entering weapons range," her tactical officer warned. "All platforms stand." "All platforms ready," Lisa transmitted. Hold fire. Let them shoot first. We need their weapon signatures before we can redirect. Admiral Keithar, weary of the harassment by the smaller human craft, resolved to end it decisively by unleashing the Royal Fleet's true might. Target the third planet. Prepare planetary bombardment. Admiral, our scouts are still engaged with human vessels. Then destroy them together. Commence the sequence. The World Breaker's colossal plasma cannon began to charge, glowing with power capable of liquefying a continent. 20 other warships followed, their bombardment weapons igniting in unison. The fearsome display had always forced submission from lesser races. But humanity did not yield. Instead, they dared what no other species had ever attempted. They attacked the main fleet head-on. Captain Stone led all 47 patrol ships and 60 fighters in a coordinated strike against the flagship itself. Tiny human craft hurled every shot they had at the behemoth, slipping through barrages of return fire that could annihilate them in seconds. "All units, concentrate fire on the flagship's command section," Stone ordered. "Force them on to defense. Make them think." Alien shields shrugged off the attacks, but the effect was psychological. For the first time in his career, Admiral Keithvar himself came under direct assault, and the audacity unsettled him deeply. "How dare these vermin target the flagship?" he thundered. "Annihilate them at once!" But annihilation did not come. The humans fought as if unbound by fear of death, darting between leviathans, even using the massive alien hulls as cover. On Luna, Dr. Sophie Clark fine-tuned the quantum field calibrations. Energy levels spiked far beyond anything her instruments had ever recorded, yet the models suggested it could still hold. "Ben, they're about to fire," she transmitted urgently. "Quantum fields are primed as much as they'll ever be." "Understood, Sophie," Rodriguez replied from NORAD. "All platforms, prepare to engage redirection on my mark." Then, the first shot came, a blinding lance of plasma surging toward Earth with enough energy to vaporize oceans. It slammed into the quantum network and the impossible occurred. Space itself bent. The beam followed hidden quantum pathways, twisted back, and struck one of the Zephyrian warships. Admiral Keithar gaped in disbelief as one of his own vessels was obliterated. "What happened?" "Unknown, Admiral. Our plasma was redirected. Impact registered on Ship 17. "That cannot be. Nothing exists that can bend plasma at that scale." Another ship fired. Once more, the fields snared the energy, curved it back, and flung it into the very ship that unleashed it. Shields designed to block external force had no defense against fire erupting from within. The war dragged on into its 18th hour, and for the first time in his long career, Admiral Keithar encountered something utterly alien to him: doubt. 8 warships of the Royal Fleet were gone, not to superior weapons or overwhelming numbers, but consumed by their own devastating fire. The humans pressed the fight with maddening unpredictability, waging war with tactics no civilized species had ever dared to use. "Admiral, the humans are now employing debris from their own damaged—" "They're using wreckage as weapons," the tactical officer reported, almost disbelieving. "Launching debris with magnetic catapults." Keithvar studied the display in disbelief as mangled fragments of human ships hurtled toward his fleet at deadly speeds. The debris was too small for his massive weapons to intercept, yet large enough to batter sensors and overload shield generators on impact. "How do they keep fighting in such conditions?" he demanded. "Unknown, Admiral. Example: human vessel, Hunter. Main engine destroyed, hull compromised, yet it continues to engage. Human doctrine seems to demand combat even after crippling damage." Aboard the Hunter, Captain Ryan Kelly fought to keep his vessel alive. Half his crew was wounded, main guns offline, but the ship pressed on. Ryan had jury-rigged emergency thrusters into makeshift magnetic launchers, hurling metal at the enemy. "Engineering? How long until life support fails?" he asked over sputtering comms. 2 hours, maybe less. came the reply. Hull breaches venting atmosphere. Backup power nearly spent. Then let's make these 2 hours matter. He steered his battered ship toward a smaller alien vessel, weaving through wreckage and disabled craft. Zephyrians expected crippled enemies to retreat. Humans, instead, fought until they were torn apart. Meanwhile, Captain Lisa Bennett coordinated the orbital defense net from Guardian 1, overseeing the quantum fields that turned enemy fire against them. Her platform had endured multiple hits, yet the generators still held. Guardian 1 to all stations, she ordered. They're shifting tactics, attempting to overwhelm us with simultaneous volleys. It was logical, but still failed to account for human ingenuity. Dr. Ben Rodriguez had already prepared for such an eventuality. All platforms, implement Protocol 7, Lisa commanded. Don't redirect, store their energy. We'll release it in one massive strike. The generators absorbed barrage after barrage, locking the destructive power in quantum containment wells outside conventional space. To Zephyrian eyes, their weapons simply vanished. Believing the fields were failing, they redoubled their fire, pouring more devastation into the void. Elsewhere, Major Kate Williams led her team of asteroid miners on a desperate mission. Using industrial rigs, they shifted the course of giant rocks, weaponizing them against the fleet. Detonation in 30 seconds, Kate announced as nuclear charges split a kilometer-wide asteroid. All units clear the zone. The explosion fractured the mass into thousands of fragments, each a mountain of iron and nickel traveling at orbital velocity. Zephyrian shields could deflect plasma and energy beams, but were helpless against sheer kinetic devastation. Impact in 45 seconds, Kate reported. Enemy attempting to maneuver, but their warships are too slow. The fragments tore into 3 ships simultaneously, breaching armor thought impenetrable. Hulls buckled, venting atmosphere and debris. Admiral Kethvar watched in mounting fury as more of his vessels suffered catastrophic damage. Humans were weaponizing the system itself. Asteroids, planetary gravity, even wreckage became part of their arsenal. Signal retreat to long-range bombardment positions, he snapped. We will obliterate their planet from beyond reach of their tricks. But as his ships withdrew, they encountered a new shock. Hidden weapons lit up across the system. From the asteroid belt to planetary rings, Earth's defenses revealed themselves. Commander Veltar, leading the scouts, was first to be caught. Artillery erupted from Saturn's rings. Admiral, humans have concealed military assets across the entire system, he reported. 17 separate weapon signatures detected. Near Jupiter, Captain Alex Stone began the final counterstroke. All units Operation Sledgehammer, show them what it means to threaten our home. On Ganymede, hidden silos yawned open, launching swarms of dense projectiles. Accelerated by Jupiter's immense gravity, they reached fractions of light speed, before slamming into the alien armada. At Luna Base, Dr. Sophie Clark activated humanity's boldest experiment. Ben, gravity generators online, initiating spatial distortion fields. The devices bent space itself, generating artificial gravity wells. Positioned across the system, they formed a colossal trap around the Zephyrian fleet. Suddenly, alien ships reported impossible readings. Navigation faltered. What is happening? Kethar barked. The humans appear to be manipulating space itself, Admiral. Gravitational distortions crippled navigation. Admiral, our faster-than-light drives can't stabilize in warped space, the helm officer warned. Kethvar felt something alien to him after 3 decades of conquest. Fear. The humans weren't merely resisting with crude weapons. They were shaping the raw forces of physics into instruments of war. From Luna Command, Dr. Ben Rodriguez observed the clash with clinical detachment, allowing himself a flicker of satisfaction. All stations discharged stored energy from the quantum fields. Primary target, alien flagship. Hours of captured enemy fire coiled within the generators suddenly released, unspooling as a beam with the strength of 50 plasma batteries. The energy slammed into the colossal world breaker, collapsing its shields in an instant. Its reinforced hull bent and cracked under the concentrated onslaught. "Impossible!" Keithvar muttered in disbelief as his proud flagship trembled. How could primitives summon such force? His science officer's response chilled the bridge crew. "Admiral, scans confirm this is not unknown technology. They're harnessing our own weapons and leveraging the natural forces of this system. The humans have converted their star system into a fortress." Across the battle space, Lieutenant Colonel Ryan Murphy rallied his remaining fighter wings. Nearly a third of his pilots were gone, yet his tone carried no hesitation. "All squadrons, the enemy is attempting to withdraw. Do not allow them to regroup or strike other colonies. Like predators intoxicated by the kill, the human fighters tore into their quarry. Survival no longer dictated their maneuvers. Destruction of the invader was all that mattered." On Guardian 1, Captain Bennett reviewed grim status reports. The platform barely clung to functionality, but the quantum generators still hummed, alive. "Maintain positions. Their ships are ensnared by distortion fields, and every discharge is being reflected back upon them. Hold the line. We can win this." Keithvar strained to impose order on chaos. His fleet staggered through a gauntlet of gravitational anomalies, kinetic ambushes, and redirected fire. Every maneuver drew attacks from multiple vectors, as though the humans themselves were omnipresent. "Admiral, 23 vessels destroyed," reported his tactical officer. "The rest suffer catastrophic failures, engines, weapons, life support, all collapsing." "How can this be?" Keithvar demanded. "We've subjugated 17 systems without loss. Our fleets have never faltered." Commander Tar's voice crackled across comms. "Admiral, the mistake is ours. We assumed they would resist like every species before. They do not. They fight as predators, forged by millennia of killing their own kind." The truth struck Keithvar harder than any weapon. Every conquered people had been gentle, civilizations of peace, their histories devoid of prolonged conflict. Humanity was something else entirely, a race shaped by endless violence, evolving under constant struggle. Cornered, Keithvar resolved on an act that would define him in infamy. With nearly half his strength obliterated and the rest ensnared, he chose fury over retreat. If the royal fleet was to be undone by these savages, then Earth itself would burn in shared ruin. All surviving vessels, new priority target, the third planet. Focus every weapon on their population centers. If we fall, their cradle burns with us. Shock rippled across the bridge. The tactical officer hesitated. "Admiral, our scouts remain entangled with human wings across the system. This strike will sacrifice them. Then they die serving the Empire." Keithvar answered with icy resolve. "Begin bombardment." The order hung like a death knell. Engines strained, weapons aligned, and the surviving royal fleet turned its fury upon Earth. The surviving ships of the royal fleet turned their colossal cannons toward Earth, charging plasma weapons strong enough to shatter a planet's crust. If they could not win, they would annihilate the world that had birthed such defiance. Deep beneath the Pentagon, Admiral Morrison tracked their movements. "All stations, the aliens are preparing planetary assault. This is what we've been building for. Initiate Operation Final Stand. Across the solar system, dormant weapons hidden. In orbital stations, asteroid mines and lunar facilities came online in unison. Humanity's entire infrastructure, rebuilt in secret, had become a single coordinated defense grid." On the battered patrol ship Defender, Captain Alex Stone received the activation signal. His vessel, held together by welds and desperation, had one last mission. "All remaining patrol ships execute final pattern," Alex ordered. Make them think about something besides Earth. 16 human vessels, broken but unbowed, surged into attack. They did not aim for destruction. They aimed for the alien weapons themselves. Every hit that disabled a cannon bought Earth another heartbeat. From Guardian 1, Captain Lisa Bennett coordinated the defense. All platforms, prepare for quantum field overload. We're about to take more energy than the system was ever designed to handle. On Luna Base, Dr. Sophie Clark fine-tuned the generators with trembling hands. Ben, the models say we can redirect maybe 60% of their combined firepower. If they fire everything at once, some of it will get through. Then we don't let them fire all at once, Rodriguez replied grimly. Major Kate Williams keyed her comm from a mining vessel. Control, I have a 2-kilometer asteroid on collision course with the flagship. Impact in 90 seconds. Kate, evacuate. The blast will vaporize anything within 50 kilometers, Morrison ordered. Negative, Admiral. Someone has to make course corrections. I'm staying with the package. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Colonel Ryan Murphy rallied the last of his fighters. All squadrons, blind their sensors before they lock Earth. Everything you've got. The fighters dove, streaking through space like bullets flung from the hands of gods, knowing full well they would never return. The alien fleet's sensors faltered under the relentless human assault. Their defensive systems could endure direct attacks, but targeting arrays and comms were vulnerable, and the humans exploited every weakness. Admiral Kethvar glared at the tactical display as red alerts blossomed across his formation. Humanity wasn't attacking piecemeal. They were striking everything at once, throwing his armada into disorder as they prepared to annihilate Earth. Status, he snapped. Admiral, we have widespread failures. Human forces are concentrating on sensors, guidance, and communications. Ships 7, 12, and 18 can't acquire targeting locks. Then fire blind, Kethvar barked. Saturate the planet with plasma. But before his order could bear fruit, Kate Williams' asteroid slammed into the world breaker. A 2-kilometer mass of rock, hurled at orbital velocity, tore through the flagship's hull like divine judgment. The main reactor erupted, setting off a catastrophic chain reaction that ripped the vessel apart from within. Admiral Kethvar perished instantly when the bridge vaporized, but his final command had already transmitted. 26 Zephyrian warships unleashed their planet-killer beams toward Earth. Dr. Ben Rodriguez activated the solar system's entire lattice of quantum field generators. Walls of energy surged to intercept the incoming annihilation. Sophie, Ben said grimly, this will overload everything we've built. Please tell me your numbers hold. The generators devoured beam after beam, storing impossible torrents of destructive energy in systems anchored partially outside normal space. But even quantum engineering had limits, and those limits were shattering. Ben, Sophie Clark warned from Luna Base. The containment fields are collapsing. 10 seconds, maybe less, before total failure. Then we release it all, Ben answered. Target every hostile ship and return the fire. The network unleashed its fury. 26 planet-killer beams detonated back against their sources. From Earth's surface, they blazed into the heavens like newborn stars, each consuming a Zephyrian vessel in its own fury. Aboard Guardian 1, Captain Bennett watched the last warship die in incandescent fire. All stations, he ordered, softly, cease fire. The enemy fleet is gone. For a heartbeat, the system fell silent, then erupted in cheers from ships, stations, and colonies across human space. Against impossible odds, with inferior technology but relentless ingenuity, humanity had obliterated the galaxy's greatest fleet. Yet the triumph came with sacrifice. Sophie Clark's team died when Luna Base's generators detonated in the overload. Kate Williams perished, guiding her asteroid into the flagship. 30 fighter pilots fell in the last assault, hundreds more. Defenders gave their lives holding Earth's line. At the Pentagon, Admiral Morrison stood amidst weary officers who had labored without rest for weeks. "Communications," he said. "Signal all colonies. The Royal Fleet is destroyed. Earth is secure." Captain Alex Stone guided the battered Defender homeward, staring through his viewport at the wreckage of what had once been the most feared armada in the stars. The ship barely limped through space, but it had endured the greatest battle in history. Meanwhile, Dr. Rodriguez began combing through alien wreckage. The quantum grid was gone, destroyed in the counterattack, but fragments from 27 Zephyrian warships held knowledge to advance human science by centuries. 3 days later, President Daniel Hayes addressed the world. "My fellow humans, we have faced the gravest threat in our history and prevailed. The enemy sought our destruction, but learned humanity never surrenders, never retreats, and never accepts defeat when survival is at stake. Yet our victory is more than military. The Royal Fleet was crafted to subjugate civilizations that had never known true war. The Zephyrians crushed 17 peaceful worlds that chose surrender over hopeless resistance. But Earth was different. Humanity spent 10,000 years at war with itself, learning strategy, perfecting brutality, innovating weapons from desperation. We learned survival meant becoming more dangerous than any threat we faced. The story of Earth's triumph raced across the stars. The Royal Fleet, once undefeated, now lay annihilated by a species many had deemed primitive. The shock was seismic. Conquered worlds stirred with rebellion. Species that had never raised arms began constructing defenses. The galaxy understood. The age of effortless conquest was over. Reports soon reached Admiral Morrison from deep space monitors. Alien empires were halting expansions, reconsidering aggression. The message had spread. Humans were not prey. They were predators, honed by millennia of conflict against themselves. 6 months later, Alex Stone stood on the bridge of a new ship, the Earth vessel Defiant, commanding humanity's first diplomatic mission beyond the home system. Scientists, ambassadors, and soldiers shared its decks, bearing a message as clear as its name. Earth no longer cowered behind defenses. The Royal Fleet had been designed to crush worlds, but in choosing Earth as their target, the Zephyrians made their final fatal mistake.